Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar training about ISO 22002. Made simple. We'll try to make it as simple as possible. And I hope that you enjoy it. Please, for those who are here, don't hesitate to put a comment on where you are joining from. And maybe we can try to wait a couple of minutes to see if everything is clear. For those who are on LinkedIn or YouTube, please, can you tell me if you can see me well? It would be great. And I think everything is great. So we will start right away for this presentation. So as you know, ISO 22002, or as you may know, was published in 2025. Actually, I didn't pay so much attention to it because for me it was just a sort of technical development where you had common requirements for the different specifications, ISO 22002 specifications that were put together, and some specific specifications for the different parts of the supply chain were also added. I didn't pay attention to it, and then I had to do a training on ISO 22000. And I looked at them more seriously, and I saw that indeed things were getting a bit complicated. So we have here, hello, welcome. We have from India, Simone from Germany, Jörg from Germany too. Yeah, also from India. Okay, great. So as I was saying, I didn't pay attention, and when I look at it, I say, "Oh, there is something wrong there," because I think we are making things more complicated for people diving in this in these requirements of ISO 22000, and hence the purpose of proposing this training. So if you have some questions, don't hesitate to post them along the way, and we try to answer at the end. And at the end, we will have a moment of questions and answers too. Okay, great. So just a few words to myself. So I'm Bruno Séchet. I'm food safety integrity consultant. Hello, Merce. ¿Cómo estamos? Hello, Sonia. I'm glad that people are joining. You didn't lose much. I was presenting myself. So Bruno Séchet, as I was saying, I started as a veterinarian after studies in Toulouse. Then I went to Fromage Rebelle, where I spent 23 years of my career in different environments, from local plants, regional, and then corporate functions. I joined the IFS, one of the big four GFSI benchmark standards, where I was a technical director, and I had the opportunity to introduce food fraud in our standard. And 7 years ago, I founded Integralim, which is a consulting, training, and auditing company, where we develop training, of course, consulting on the different standards on crisis management, food fraud. And in the last 2 years, we've been working quite a lot on integration of artificial intelligence in the quality and food safety sector. But let's dive in the topic. So what is ISO 22002? It is now an ISO standard, because before it was a specification. And of course, to understand 22002, we need to understand 22000. So this is this standard that you all know, I guess. about requirements for any organization in the food supply chain in terms of quality and food safety management systems. And the last version was in 2018. And this is a representation of these standards. You see that it is organized like all the ISO standards since 2015. All the ISO standards are organized in a plan, do, check, act structure, where you have all the planning activities related to the organization, the strategy, the leadership, planning and support system. The do is the operational aspects of the standard that are really very standard specific, and that's where we are going to find HACCP, traceability, and other topics. And then check and act are actually very small chapters where it's about control, non-conformity management, corrective actions, and continuous improvement of the system. And indeed, in the do, we have these prerequisite programs that are what is managed in this 22002 standard. When ISO 22000 started in 2005, sorry, actually this portion was very simple, to say the least. It was just a list of prerequisite programs, and that's why actually this standard was not benchmarkable by the GFSI. So in order to understand what are prerequisite programs, we need to go to the Bible of food safety, which is the General Principles of Food Hygiene from the Codex. It has been sleeping during years and years, but in the recent years, in the beginning of the 2020, it has been revised. The HCP has been revised. Also, as you know, the food safety culture has been included there. And it is quite clear that prerequisite program, as the name says, are not just good manufacturing practices, but they are really something that you need to take into account before addressing with HACCP the hazards and risks within your process. So it is really all the good manufacturing practice that are preventing hazards to develop, and in the environment of the production and process of the factory. You can also say that they are all the programs that are valid for all the company. And that allows us in the HACCP program to focus on really the hazard related to the process and the product. That's how they should be. And you always have this sort of pyramid that you may have known. Welcome, Georgiana from Sofia, David from KSR, Martin from Venezuela, by the way, where you say, okay, the basis is prerequisite programs, then HACCP, and on when this is really solid, then you can really build a food safety management system. You can even add quality on top. When you have really something which is impulsed by a policy with clear objectives, and that you can improve your system, the people, the communication, and so on and so forth. Of course, we have the food safety culture, which is the foundation without which all this pyramid could very easily fall apart. But this is not the topic of today. The topic is prerequisite programs. And let's go back to ISO 22000. So why has there been at all a 22002 technical specification? It is because some very important company in the world wanted to push ISO 22000 for GFSI benchmark recognition. And as said, an international standard that doesn't speak much about prerequisite programs, that is owned by no one, and that has an update frequency, which is revision every 5 years or review every 5 years, but there have been more than 5 years between the first version in 25 and the second in 2018. So something else was needed, and it was needed the prerequisite program first, and an organization such as FSSC 22000 that came along and built a bit this patchwork of requirements. The ISO 22000 is the basis. It refers to the 22 /X for the prerequisite programs, and you have also own requirements, so that with this combination, but you can answer the requirements of GFSI, and also you have a more robust system. Now, what happened is that indeed, recently, end of 2025, the 22,000 was divided into two, with the transversal part, with the part 100, and the specifics part, which are one for process product or transformation, 2 for catering, 4 for packaging, 6 for animal food, I think, animal food. And there are some others that are in development. I don't know if they will reach 100, because I was also surprised that they put 100 as for the transversal one. I would have put 22,002, and that's it. But anyway, so that's the choice that they made. So you have now the ISO 22000 that is supposed to be revised in end of 2026 or beginning of 2027. It is being revised now, but we don't know when the final draft version will be published, and we don't know when the final version will be published. And we have also the FSSC 22000 that has announced recently that the publication publication of version 7 will arrive in May of this year, so in the coming month. And this version will integrate definitely the changes in the ISO 22002 and some changes that are related with the last requirements from GFSI, which are already a couple of years old. And that's what the FSSC 22000 will be about. It won't integrate, to my knowledge, the changes in the ISO 22000, because this standard is not yet published. So that's the question. So we have this development, and what should we do there? Welcome to Bilal from Canada and to Alexandra from France. Thank you for joining. And so let's go dig a bit into ISO 22002 and see what we can find there. So here you have a representation of the GMPs and prerequisite programs that have been included, changed, put together in the two standards, 22,002. I didn't think that it was so complicated to pronounce several times. /100 and the one. What we can see is basically the same structure as the previous one. So you have a set of prerequisite program about construction and layout of buildings, one about design and layout of facilities and workspaces, one about utilities, one about pest control, one about waste, FLW management and recycling. Do you guys know what FLW means? Can you put it in the comment? Because I'm asking that because actually the term, the word is mentioned like that, and you have to go to the vocabulary part to see what it is. Well, it is food loss and waste. So basically, this standard is about waste and food loss and waste management and recycling. It's a bit repetitive. I don't want to be too critical, but waste management and food loss and waste management. So we understand that there is food waste and non-food waste, and we have to manage it. But don't be confused that this FLW, it doesn't mean that it has nothing to do with the requirement to reduce food loss because of sustainability reason. It is just there to annoy me. No, but it's just there to integrate the food loss, but it's okay. It's before, in the previous version, there were food waste and non-food waste. That's all. Ferhana says, and I hope I can pronounce it well, that she's confused about the mission of GFSI to make one global food standard. Well, GFSI doesn't want to make one global food standard, and this will never happen, by the way. They are trying hard to do a recognition of standards so that at least they are mutually recognized, which is also not the case today. So you have some companies that are multiply certified, IFS, BRC, FSC 22000, and this is a nonsense in my view, but this is another topic. We can discuss it at the end. Then you have an important part about equipment suitability and maintenance, management of purchased materials, storage, which here has been a bit more detail with the warehousing and transport, measure for prevention of contamination. Here you will find all what is microbiological contamination, physical contamination, allergens, and new is there chemical contamination, cleaning and disinfection, personal hygiene and employee facilities, product and consumer information, which is, in my view, also not a GMP. It is a requirement for consumer, but I mean, it's not a prerequisite program. It is not because of you have a product and consumer information that you are going to improve the environment, reduce the risk within your HACCP. But of course, it makes the relationship with the consumer, and that's true that because labeling is crucial, and in particular in terms of allergen labeling, it has its place there. And then the very, very new to ISO 22000 universe is food fraud. Food defense was already there, very limited, but it was already there. And now there is at least, or at last, the food fraud inclusion. The rework part, in terms of traceability, in terms of conditions of rework, is partially handled through the waste FLW management and recycling part in the ISO 22100. I hope that you are following me. And this rework part is the only specific part on top of all the others that is mentioned in the 22002/1. Gerhana is asking, of course, about audit fatigue. No, I don't think that ISO 22002/100 will reduce audit fatigue. The only thing that could is the recognition of a standard and be almost the obligation to recognize one standard, but that's not exactly the case today. So let's dig in a bit there. So here are all the requirements that are within the transversal standard, let's call him 100, and that are very classical from what we know from other standards. And what we can say is that the 100 is a bit more specific. It is a bit more prescriptive, by the way, also in the terms and the requirements that it handles. It is much more detailed than the ISO 22000 one was in some aspects. So here we talk about boundaries of the site, the environment, and all the construction layout, which has to, as a consequence, of course, the flow of products. Okay, then there is a specific part about design and layout of the facilities and workspaces. And here we talk about all the internal structures and fitting, doors, windows, ceilings, and so on. How equipments are located within the factory, and if this location allows proper maintenance, cleaning, and so on. And a part here is about storage of food packaging materials, ingredients, and chemicals. Also in terms of labeling, that will allow traceability and so on and so forth. Utilities are also detailed. Most of these requirements were already included in the existing ISO 22002 that were already from 2009. So you have requirements about water, ice, and steam, air and ventilation, compressed air and other gases, and light. Okay, and here yes, it is a bit more prescriptive, a bit more detailed. They have done a work of simplifying the wordings so that it really makes sense, and explaining a bit the why to prevent contamination. This is a work that ISO is doing now, that has been done by the other standards for some years now, to make it more unambiguous, so that it is clear what is required from the companies and for the food safety management systems. Okay, pest control is one of the topics that has been, with the personal hygiene, the most updated and the most detailed, and with the different steps. So it goes through. We should have pest control programs to prevent access, to prevent harborage and infestation, a part of monitoring and detection, how we monitor and detect, and also then how we control and eradicate. This last icon is maybe a bit, I hope you don't eradicate a pest in your food manufacturing facilities like this. Sometimes it is necessary, but this is artificial intelligence that doesn't know how the details of what is allowed or not there. But sometimes, of course, this eradication are necessary, eradication steps. We find again what I was mentioning was waste, food loss waste management and recycling, where with the typical requirements about recycling, the fact that actually recycling should not have as a consequence contamination of the products, of course, and should be in a proper way, appropriate way, and the same with the waste containers and the circulation of the different waste within the company. One part which was also already included is about equipment maintenance. Was maintenance, and here it is equipment capability. Actually, this is here the new wording, if I should say so, for hygienic design. The hygienic design is within the equipment capability. And then there is the maintenance that should be done in order to prevent any problem, that should be done in a way that doesn't contaminate the product and allow an improvement of the maintenance, preventive maintenance. So this is quite clear. Then there is the management of purchase material. This is also, for me, something where I wonder why it is considered as a prerequisite program, in that sense that you have a procedure for that, and it's management of different items. What I mean is that, of course, it's not something that is related to good manufacturing practices. But I mean, the risks related to the supplied materials, packaging is so high that at the end, in terms of prevention, it makes sense to have them as to consider it as a prerequisite program, because of course, if these risks didn't enter our facilities, but we wouldn't have to deal with them in the different steps of our production and delivery to the customers. So, and also I think with the view of FISMA, the preventive hazard control plans, makes completely sense to have it there. Storage, including warehousing and transport, is also more detailed than it was before, and also it takes into account the different steps, separate the steps between the storage, the dispatch, and also the transportation. Now, measures for prevention of contamination. This is a couple of sentences in this transversal standard, ISO standard 22100. Actually, the detail of it is to be found in the 22002 one and the others when applicable. Microbiological contamination, allergen control, physical contamination are not word for word, but are very, very similar to what existed previously. The new thing is about chemical contamination. And I must say that except for food fraud and chemical contamination, these are the two new things. Chemical contamination and food fraud are the new things. Except for those, the ISO 22100 standard is very, very close to the 22002 TS/1 that existed previously. That's one of the aspects of what to do with these standards. Should I buy two, or can I buy only one? Cleaning and disinfection is more about all the cleaning agents and tools, and of course the cleaning and disinfection programs. What is very I put here the attention mark because this is much more detailed. It's not new, but really also like in pest control, the elements have been really very much detailed and prescriptive, and also separating topics that were or to either together or just mention at the side. Or implicit, let's say, because here you talk about hygiene facilities or laboratories, work logs, and so on, designated eating areas, workwear and protective clothing, health status and injuries put together, the personal cleanliness, the personal behavior is also there, which is also interesting aspect if we relate it to a food safety culture. And also visitors and external providers are clearly specified. So nothing new for people who work in food safety, but indeed new in this set of ISO 22000 standards. Product and consumer information. Here, AI has thought that there were a lot of things to do and to explain, but actually it's very simple. It is really, of course, the information should be accurate, what is put in the product, and what is a bit more detailed are all the steps to help prepare the preservation, the preparation of meals with the food. This is what should be addressed, is how we can give the good information to the consumer to use our products in the best way and in a way that doesn't harm us. And then we have food fraud, food defense and food fraud. I haven't detailed the requirements there, but they are on one hand quite simple, but not very detailed. But on the other hand, they are there in food defense. It was very focused on access in the 22000 universe before, and now there is a requirement to have a food defense evaluation program and measures of prevention from the risk related to that. And what is indeed new is the food fraud part, which is also requires to have, it's one requirement about having food fraud evaluation and prevention plan for the risk related to food fraud. This is new in the way to handle with it and to present it, and this is probably the third new thing. Is that this comes with two appendices, which are listing examples of preventive measures, of actions that can be taken in the different parts of the evaluation, vulnerability or threat assessment processes. It's interesting. It's not the highest level. I mean, if you take the guidelines of the FSSC 22000 or the guideline of IFS, which are both publicly and free available, then you have much more information about how to set up a food defense or food fraud vulnerability assessment or threat assessment than with these two appendices, in the ISO 22000 norm. Of course, for those who think, yeah, but I am FSC 22000 and it is already handled there. And indeed, the question will be in this version FSC 22007 that should come in a couple of months. My guess or intuition is that indeed these aspects, because they are handled now in the ISO 22002 in a better way, let's say, or more explicit way, or handle for food fraud, then in the specific requirements of FSC 22000, but they will be either removed or will be added only the specific aspects that they consider as important there. So that makes the thing a bit complicated in my view. So what should you do? Well, I think that what you should do is consider one thing, is that, and I've done the comparison, and basically what you can say, and I'm here taking the 22002/1, the version of 2009, which is, let's say, the most used and the one that I know the best, about processed and transformation of products, for food manufacturing product. And most of the time, if you take the ISO 22002/1 of 2009, it is equal to the 100 plus the new one. In some aspects, the 22002 is much more, it's more detailed, much more, maybe not much more, but as we said, in pest control, in personal hygiene, there is this aspect of food fraud, which is new. So in most of the cases, nevertheless, when you have the 22002/1, you have most of the elements that are covered. So we have to go for the 22200. And here is really the new thing of the one is this one, is chemical contamination. So the 22002/1, which is for food production, is chemical contamination. It says, what does it say? Measures shall be in place to prevent contamination of food by chemicals. We should ensure that the chemicals are approved, that are applied according to the proper instructions, that are applied by competent personnel, labeled, stored separately, and stored in key locked or secured areas. If you have pesticides, they should be stored segregated from cleaning and disinfection agents. Equipment shall be specific to that use for pesticides, and you should take corrections and corrective actions if there are potential chemical contamination. This is rather new. But in the rest of the requirements of the 22002 .0/1, what is written in the requirement is the requirements in ISO 22200 shall apply. So basically, if you buy this standard, 90% of it is the requirements in ISO 22002 apply. And therefore, for me, what you should do if you're interested in ISO 22000 or if you are certified according to FSC 2000 is buy the 100 ones, because that's where you will find the most of the new elements, more detailed, more prescriptive elements in pest control, in hygiene, and so forth. All the elements that are the chemical contamination, I showed you what it is, and for the rest, the specific, the little specific parts of this 22002/1 are actually included in the previous version. So I would say wait and see. Wait and see how the ISO 22000 develops. Wait and see how the FSSC 22000 develops. Depending, of course, if you need to be to implement a system. If it's an update of system, you know that you have always transition periods for that. So it's not for me urgent to rush and to buy this. So welcome also from Ali from Iran. I hope that everything is fine for you there. And that's about it for me. So do you have some questions that I could answer? I hope I was clear about this complex situation between ISO 22000, 22002, 22001. Let me know if you have any question. No questions? Well, I hope that was clear. Well, anyway, if you have any question when you see this webinar in the replay, don't hesitate to post them on LinkedIn. Here you have my contact details, and I'm always available for exploring any questions that you may have. So thank you very much. Just waiting if somebody wakes up and says, I have a question, please. No? Okay. Then have a nice end of Friday, and I wish you a very nice time ahead for you. Hannah, you have a question. Isn't it better to stay with IFS? I'm not very objective when it comes to IFS because as a former technical director for IFS, of course, it's one of my favorite standards, to not say the favorite standard. Definitely, if you're working with IFS, there is no advantage, in my view, of switching to FSSC 22000. That is more complex. There are big advantages for that, and it's always market related at the end. So, if you don't have requirements to move to FSC 22000, I wouldn't move if your system is working well with IFS, and the same with BRCGS. It's always fine. These are fine standards. Some are more prescriptive than others. Some have advantages, inconveniences. Very important is that it's understandable for the company, that it helps improve food safety, and that your customers are when your customers are requiring one of them to use this one. Obviously, in Europe, the most recognized or used standard is IFS. In the world is FSC 2000, and let's say in the English-speaking international world, it could be, we can consider it BRCGS. I hope I understood it. Yeah. So thank you, Ali. Thank you, Shamik. And I will be continuing doing some webinars in the future. So stay tuned for updates on food safety management system, but also on how to better use AI as quality and food safety professionals. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.